Here we are live through the noise. Business Life and Lies. I'm Trevor Steel, your host. Today we've got a good friend of mine. He is an interesting character. I'm going to let this intro because I can see him on my camera. I'm going to keep dragging it out while he thinks he's on camera. Dan Plata, the one and only. If you haven't met Dan Plata, you're about to get to know him. He is a memorable character, a fantastic person, and he's a numbers nerd. So let's get to know Dan Plata. Welcome to the show, Danny.
Oh, what's up? What's happening? How you doing, Trevor Steel?
Yeah, man. We got to work on the intro, right? Because we got the timing off. We got to do like the intro, I think, and then we jump in. But
it's more fun when you get it wrong.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's how I live my life. That's how I live my life, man. That's like my motto. That should be my motto. It's more fun when you get it wrong.
Is it though? Is it?
Depends how wrong. Yeah, there's a sliding slope there where it gets worse.
Yeah, it's like how many times in a row can you get it wrong before? I think it's a numbers thing, right? Everything you do is numbers.
Everything is
how many times? So you're at the bar. You're in your man cave. I am in a VRBO at out of town at a job site. So this is different for me. I think you're always on the road, so maybe you can handle it.
You just kind of make it happen. You just make it happen, whatever you're doing. Business.
All right, Jai, let's kick that music out.
I like that music though. That's some good music. Yeah. It's got like a nice suspense to it. You saw me in the background. I was like, dude, like there's that piano. Just nibbling bibbling.
I dragged out the intro because I was laughing so hard watching you in the side stage.
Couldn't help myself.
So Dan Plata, tell us about yourselves. Start from the beginning. Don't get too far back, too crazy, but give us like the 5-10 minute. Who's Dan Plata?
No, man, I'm like the biggest weirdo, dude. I don't have a good explanation for why I am the way that I am. Because I'm like a nerdy redneck, light beer drinking, shit talking, super nice guy. I don't know how all that fits together. Like, I don't know.
It is an anomaly. I mean, it definitely is an anomaly.
I don't know how I be. What's up, JC Chanowski?
JC.
But no, so we were kind of joking before we went live, like we'd be crying by the end of the show. I'm gonna straight up tell you guys, I done had it easy. I have there's a thing I observe in a lot of entrepreneurs, which is they've gone through some shit, and they build this level of grit and resilience because whenever they encounter really hard stuff, it just doesn't faze them because of things that they've already been through are so much worse. And I haven't been through anything that, like, I could make some shit up right now, but I truly, like, my life has been a ridiculous blessing. Super, super fortunate. My family's amazing. My wife's family's amazing. I hunt and fish all the time. I've got the best friends in the world. And I'm also super optimistic, and I'm very much a glass half full person. And so maybe that's something that I just like, that's my perception of it all. But there's this weird, I can't even say it's jealousy. There's just a little part of me that's jealous that I haven't had the opportunity to go through anything horrendous. I don't want it. I wouldn't wish it upon myself. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody else. And the day will come. Like, it's inevitable. Bad things are going to happen. We live in the world. And I will get my opportunity to overcome some shit at some point in time. Maybe never. That'd be cool, but I'm not counting on it. But I feel like, in a funny way, I have to use it as like motivation, right? Like, I grew up playing a lot of sports, and when the chips are down, when somebody tells you can't do something, or when there was a time where we were playing the number one team in the state in football on the road, they hadn't lost a game in 2 years. We went in there and kicked their ass in the rain. There's a thing, like, there's this competitive spirit in you where it's like, when nobody believes that you can, that's like when you really dig down deep. So mine is like this inception type of conundrum where it's like, well, I haven't had the opportunity to overcome anything crazy because I've just been super fortunate. I work my ass off. It's not like I haven't been given anything, but I've had the opportunities to pursue all the time, and I try to make the most of it. And then because I'm like missing that thing to overcome, like I didn't come from nothing. My family did okay. Like we weren't wealthy, but we had some hunting land, we had a boat to go fishing on, and we got outdoors all the time. Like my parents did a really good job of like not giving us stuff intentionally. I think that's something I've tried to keep in mind in this day and age where like it seems like our kids get whatever they want. Is I'm really good at saying no, like a professional no sayer.
I think you sell yourself a little short. I think you probably haven't had it tough because that's not in your mentality, right? I think certain people, I know my entire life I do this. I'm what you call a self-sabotager. When things are really good as an entrepreneur, I'm like, you know what? Let's do this new thing. Let's throw this in the mix and see how this pans out. And it's almost like I need that chaos, right? And I talked to Ryan Lee about this when he was on my podcast.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. Like he's his own worst enemy when things are good. So you're not that. So that's a blessing, really.
I think maybe I do, like when things are good, I do think we all have this this challenge of like, where do we keep pushing? And we create our own chaos a lot of times because we don't know how to sit still. And so I've been trying to like give myself grace that I don't need to be running a sprint all the time. Like there are seasons of growth, and it is totally okay to be like, hey, I'm just not going to push as hard for a little bit because I'm going to go on this Kentucky hunting trip, and then Marty's out of town, and I'm going to do a lot of family stuff. Could I push harder on our business? Yeah. Is that my priority? No, it's just not. I do, and this was a tipping point for me with Best Damn Bookkeeping. So let me backtrack again a little bit. So I was in the corporate world for like a decade. Was on a great path there, but just kind of realized watching it, you become a pawn in that game. And I'd be a wealthy son of a bitch if I had stayed there, but I'd be somebody else's pawn. Right.
Yeah.
And so eventually I was just like, I just got to try the small business thing. And I had great corporate experiences. So I'm not dogging on the corporate world. I super enjoy the life I have now. I would have been happy and fine doing that too.
So tell us what you did in the corporate world. What was it you did?
So I got out. I went to school for this. This won't surprise you at all. Went to school, met Justin Boyd in accounting class. You know that a little bit. But I actually went to school to be an econ major. Because in high school, I played this like stock market game in econ class. And I was like, that was super fun. We like ranked in the state. We did really good. So I was like, man, I'm gonna get into like stock trading. And I just associated with econ because we did it in an econ class in high school. And then I got to college and I was like, oh, damn, like econ is just all theoretical stuff. It's not it's all supply and demand charts. Like it's the theory of how the world works, but it's not actually the math of how it's working in practice. So I was like, oh, that's finance. Like finance is that. And so then I started like dabbling in some finance stuff, but to get into even finance topics, you have to take accounting. And here's the challenge I had to overcome. This is it. This is when
the big one.
chips were down and the tides turned. Is I snuck it. I was the dumbest kid in the honors program in University of Wisconsin Eau Claire, and I met our boy Justin Boyd, and I was the dummy. Like I was the dumbest kid of the smart kids. And I remember sitting in accounting class, and it was like the first accounting class, and Justin's smart as hell, and he had accounting before, and I never had, and I struggled in accounting. Like, and I was a good student. Like I worked my ass off. My brother's a doctor, so that was like what I had to compare myself to, was like the nerdest of nerdy nerds. And so I was always like chasing that. But I got a B in accounting. That was my only B in college, was that freshman accounting class. And this is how you know I'm an entrepreneur, because my attitude was like, fuck that. I'm going to major in accounting. Here I come. Like, I will show you, world of accounting, that I can learn this stuff. And so I ended up, I went to school for 5 years, kind of like ran the circle around it, and I ended up with accounting major, a finance major, and an econ major, because they all like overlapped. And I was like, man, I might as well just get all three of them. But then, and when you get out of school, the accessible job, like the thing that you can go get a career in right away, is accounting. So I went into the corporate world, did accounting, not like Ernst and Young style, like Big Four accounting, but like went to Cargill, which is a huge private company. I think either first or second biggest private company in the United States, big in agricultural stuff. And so I went into accounting there, and then really quickly was like, oh Jesus, I am not an accountant. Like there were some great coworkers that I had, but I was like, this is way too non-creative for me. Like there's no place for me to flex my goofiness around here. Literally, like, so this was me attempting to flex my goofiness.
Was this while you were doing like Marchesters? Was that the same time frame?
This is the same time frame.
Because I can't imagine that kid in accounting class.
This is the same time frame. Same time frame as Marchesters was going on.
We'll get back to that.
Literally, so when I was in like corporate accounting, at every month end, I had an outfit I called the rally outfit. So I had like all black, white shoes, white socks, white belt, white top hat. And I'd wear that to work in the corporate office just to make people laugh. Cause I was like, we have the boringest, stupidest job trying to like close out these books. And we're all in such a big company. We're all so far away from the fun part, which is now what? Like, okay, we're going to reconcile all these things, but none of us get any say in the decision. None of us get any say in the strategy. And I realized like, I only like accounting. And this is coming from a dude that has an accounting business, right? Like I have a bookkeeping business. I only like it because of what it tells us about our business. And then the sexy part is, what are you going to do with it? Like, how do you run your business better? What do you do for your employees better? What do you do for your customers better? Like, how does it all fit together? And so even in that corporate world, I ended up like, I mean, I don't think I was in that accounting role for a year because I was like, man, this is not for me. And so I went into, at Cargill, we called it risk management, but it was really financial trading of commodities, but it was hedging instead of speculating. So I was slinging corn and soybean meal, like futures and options contracts, but I was using them to hedge purchases to basically like de-risk a portfolio. So the business that I worked in, we bought eggs from poultry farms and processed eggs for McDonald's and Denny's and IHOP and Sara Lee and Wawa gas stations. And the price of the egg was based on corn and soybean meal because that was like 90% of the feed. And there were some other minerals, but the farmer would like lock in the price of the minerals and they would tie the rest of the price of the egg to the corn and the soybean meal feed so that their margins were locked in. But then I could go buy futures contracts or options contracts of corn and soybean meal to lock in our price for our customers. So it was the coolest damn job. Like I got to be a finance.
That sounds horrible. What are you talking about?
Dude, I got to, so here's why I like it. And this is probably why I like running a small business. I mean, one day I would be at a poultry farm, hanging out with farmers, talking about buying grain and like what's going on with the crop market. I mean, and I hunted a lot, right? So I'm like, I was driving through egg fields. I'm like paying attention to like what the price is going to do. And so I'm like, I'm a trader. I'm watching markets and I'm kind of like the stock trading thing earlier, but now I'm just trading corn and soybean meal, like, but it trades just like a stock. So one day I'm hanging out with farmers, which is my jam. Next day I'm suit and tie in Chicago talking to McDonald's treasury department, like presenting really sophisticated, nerdy shit to them. And so I got to, I mean, from like all the way at the front end of the business to all the way at the back end, like I was across the entire business and I'd be out on our like production floor. And so like, I've loved that. I don't like being pigeonholed in a role. I like to have my hands on everything because
how long did you do that?
I was in that role for like 6 years. Towards the end of it, I already knew I was going to leave and do the small business thing, but I was waiting for Marty, my wife, to get out of her MBA program. She was in her MBA program full time. And so it just didn't make sense for me to like leave the corporate cushy job with the benefits. So I waited for her to get done. And then I joined Blue Skies to start running home service companies. Because we already had this like date figured out. My last 2 years there, I took a different role in like doing mergers and acquisitions and big capital projects. So
see, I could see that being exciting.
Yeah, like literally,
not corn and eggs and whatever else. That sounds horrible. But
dude. Working with the farmers though, man, like, and the the markets are always trading, so you're like constantly watching the weather and the news, and it's kind of like hunting. You're constantly watching the weather, trying to decide, do we do this, do we do that? I would go back and do that job in a heartbeat. Like, that was super fun. The the strategy job, like the mergers and acquisitions job, was cool, but the guy I was working for, and I knew it when I signed up for it. Like, I signed up for the job to go work for this French guy, super nice guy, but just an awful manager. I mean, just awful, like micromanager of micromanagers. And I knew it would be miserable, but actually I learned so much about how to lead people from how poorly he did at it. It was like the best crash course in how not to lead a team to like get the most out of them. It was just so demotivating. Super nice guy, just couldn't. He was awful at managing people. But I mean, that was fun. Like, literally, my kind of like mic drop was on my way out. We shut a plant down, and I presented opening up a new plant. It's corporate America, so like my previous boss, who like now runs that business, I think it was 3 years later, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, we finally pulled your presentation out from forever ago, and we're gonna go do that project you told us to go do." I was like, "It took you 3 years?" Like, I laid out all the math, and it took you guys 3 years. They just move so slow, right? They gotta get so many sign offs. So, it like that pace of movement, and you know me well enough to know, like, I just don't sit still well enough
would
for
drive you
something.
crazy.
Yeah, I just don't. And so, like, I could go do it again, right? Like, I didn't burn any bridges on my way out. It'd be hard to go back. There's no amount of money that you could pay me. It would just have to be like the right opportunity, or this thing fell apart. But I have so much more fun on a daily basis helping small business owners. And truthfully, like, kind of the reason why I left, and I put myself back in the same trap without realizing it. But the reason I left, I have a weird aversion to, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a hypocrite. So I'm just going to say it and then I'll explain it. I have a weird aversion to like helping other people pursue their dreams and make money. Not if they're my client, not if they're my employee, right? Like, I love helping them, but I have a really hard time being the employee of trying to help somebody else chase their dreams. If I feel like our dreams are really well aligned, then it's a lot easier for me. But for some reason, I'm just such a contrarian where I'm just like, fuck that, man. I want to do my own thing. And so like it's just like I can't. Again, I'm a weirdo. I can't explain why I am the way that I am. And I thought when I left, I like joined a few other business partners, and I kind of thought like, here we go. Here's my opportunity. And I don't regret it at all. Like, we tried a lot of stuff that didn't work, and I kind of found my niche in this bookkeeping stuff. And it's actually what kind of how I got involved in Blue Skies and that group of businesses, was helping them with bookkeeping and finance stuff before I came in to run it.
So
but
let me ask you,
Yeah.
was this a natural transition for you? Like, your skill set just made sense and you ended up on this career path? Or was it like you just were like, let's try that, and then it kind of led you to here?
It was a super natural transition in that, like, I was still working at Cargill in the corporate world, and Mike Dalkey was my old business partner, one of my old business partners. And he and I would get together like at least once a week at night, laptops open, sitting at a Starbucks, like building spreadsheets and game planning and doing like small business acquisition stuff. And we were paying me like nothing to do it, but I was just fun working on small business stuff with him. And I grew up working, like, when I was in high school and college, I worked at my uncle's manufacturing company, like first on the plant floor, and then kind of in the office, and then doing some accounting stuff, and then doing, it's like whatever needed to be done. I was kind of the Swiss Army knife. I would just do like, put me wherever you need me, whatever we got to do, I'll figure it out. And so I probably why, like, in my that one job, like I said, where I was doing risk management stuff, I loved it so much because I was on the entirety of the business. I got the front end to the back end. Like, I got to see it all. And so, like, naturally, small business is a lot of fun for me because you get to be a part of it all for a long time. And there's just something fun about that. Like, I like I like so many things. I'm like not an expert at anything, maybe
Yeah.
accounting nerdy stuff, but like all of the business model is fun to me. And I like to do a little bit of everything. I like to get my hands dirty. So
What I've noticed in my interviews, especially with people I consider highly successful, it was less about,
who have you talked? Who's that? Like
obviously you,
no,
obviously you.
like obviously not. Who is it?
Well, no, all of them. Anybody that has any sort of success at all in business, I feel like they all, instead of choosing a path and going for it, it seems like they might have chosen an idea of what they want to do, but they stayed flexible and made pivots where it was necessary, and were in a position where they could make those transitions to attack when the opportunity showed up. The guys that are too laser focused and like, no, this is what I'm doing. That was me for 20 years. It was like, nope. And it was like, as soon as I was like, I'm just gonna go with it and whatever works, kind of stay focused in a different way. I don't know. It just seems like the guys that weren't too single-minded have found more success.
Yeah, it's like there's a sweet spot between like working your ass off and putting your head down. Because if you put your
Yeah.
head down and work your ass off, you miss what's going on around you. You're just too busy with your head down plowing. And I did that for like 3 or 4 years when we were at Blue Skies. I just put my head down and I was like, we're doing this thing. And then when I pulled it up, I was like, this sucks and I'm miserable and I'm working way too hard and not having fun. And I came here like I'm like literally from the minute I left, I took like a 50% pay cut from my corporate job, which I was fine with. Like that wasn't the reason I left. The reason I left was to go try new shit, learn new things, have some fun. I figured like we would grow it and it would turn into more money, and it just never really did, which was part of the catalyst for me leaving. Not because of the money, but because I realized I fell into the same trap where I was like, oh crap, I'm just making other people money again so they can pursue their dreams, and I'm getting left in the dust. I didn't think that would happen, but I got sucked into it, and so had to like double down on myself again. But yeah, I think it is important, but it's weird because you can jump too soon, right, and have shiny object syndrome, and it totally can backfire on you if you're like open to too many things, or you can not be open to anything and just keep pushing out what you're doing and drive it right into the ground. And so it's like some of it's probably personality related, some of it's probably economics related, but it's I mean, it's classic business, right? There is no right answer. It's just being opportunistic at the right times, and like a few right decisions go your way and a few breaks go your way or go against you. Like the tides can change monumentally sometimes.
So I got to tell you, when we were in Kentucky, we had a lot of downtime. You don't hunt all day long, right? And we're in a VRBO. We're hanging out in a small environment, and I got to listen to Dan with some of his clients. Obviously, he had headphones on, so if you're listening to this, I didn't hear anything that you were saying. I could just hear him in the other room, right? And dude, I was impressed, man. I got to tell you, like, you have a way of, and it makes sense when you get to know Dan. You understand why it works, because he not only knows the numbers and the process and what it takes, but he can take that mind numbing analytics and numbers and turn it into actionable practicality, right? And he can speak to us on our level. Like, most entrepreneurs, especially in the home service industry, we're not brilliant numbers people. We're just not. We start as the technician, right? But I thought it was really refreshing. You have a good way of communicating, and you could take it. Let's talk about some of that. So like some of the things that maybe you see in a P&L statement that most business owners don't even see it, but as soon as you see it, it's like, oh, well, we just need to do this, and here's some practical moves. Can you think of anything off the top of your head that kind of stands out?
I mean, the number one thing always comes down to organization of it. Like whenever somebody's like, I have no idea what's going on here, their books are a disaster and they're not caught up and they're not organized. Like they leave them behind because they're not organized in a way that actually helps them make decisions. Typically it's somebody that like this just happened. We had a client terminate us because like, oh, we have an accounting person internally now that's going to handle it all. And this person's already like come and gone twice for really stupid reasons. And so I'm just like, I'm not going to try to convince them otherwise, but I know what's going to happen. That accounting person internally doesn't know shit about how a home service business needs to do accounting. They're going to try to do accrual basis accounting that they learned in college. They're going to try to organize stuff the way the CPA wants it. They're not going to have a way to report it to say, here's what's happening in it. And so I think there's a tendency for us all to think that, oh, it's just bookkeeping. It's easy. Anybody can do it. My sister-in-law can do it for me. She went to school for accounting. Or, oh, my CPA should do it because this is for them, because they're the ones that get this at the end to do my taxes. And neither of those things are true. Like if your CPA ends up being the person that does your bookkeeping, they do it for themselves. They organize it and do it on a timely manner that they can do your tax shit. But your bookkeeping isn't about taxes. It's about giving you good information to run your business. They can do your taxes with bank statements. They don't need bookkeeping to do taxes. It makes their life easier. But if they're telling you anything else, they're full of shit.
So let's dive into that. Let's dive into that using the information to make good decisions. So what would be a practical, I don't know, give me something like maybe, go ahead.
So, I mean, I think less is more. Just in general with accounting, less is more. So many people get stuck in this trap of like trying to measure down to the penny and get super nuanced with stuff. There's 5 decisions you make when you're running a business that hit your P&L. There's only 5. And when I say that, you're probably like, oh, damn, running a business is easy. Obviously, it's a little more nuanced than that, but there's only 5 decisions. And so when somebody's doing your bookkeeping, they should be grouping it into those 5. And we know what the targets are. Like the business model is not a secret. Now you might like to have salespeople where this person likes to try to sell over the phone. You might like to pay your employees this way, and this person might pay them that way. At the end of the day, we're all shooting for like 15 to 20% net profit margin. And if you're shooting for anything less, you might as well go get a job because you're just not like that. And you might as well go get a job and invest in the stock market instead of being a business owner. So the 5 decisions, first one that you always make is all of your production related decisions. Our nerdy accounting nomenclature for that is cost of goods sold. And so the labor you're sending out there, the tools and equipment on the truck, the chemicals getting used and the supplies getting used at the job, the fuel to get out to the job, even the merchant processing fees to go swipe that credit card. Like if you can point to Mrs. Jones's job, you need to be able to say, it cost me this much to go do that job. And I'm not trying to say you need to do job costing. Like if you start doing $5,000 to $10,000 projects and that's the meat of your business, then maybe start doing job costing. If you're doing window cleaning, pressure washing, lawn care stuff where it's more repetitive and it's $1,000 jobs, $2,000 jobs or less, you don't need to do job costing. Like it's so consistent and regular. Right. Like your P&L will tell you don't need to like sit and futz with every single job. You'll know
so
the job.
A perfect example of, your accountant not doing this versus you or somebody, a CFO like you, like, what the metrics should be. You work with so many different home service companies that your cost of goods should be below this number, right? Yep. And so you would look at it and you would go, okay, right out of the gate, something's too high here. And then you could break it down from there and say, okay, your admin's about 4% too high. Let's figure that out. And so that's what I mean when I was saying we take, a P&L statement and make a quick decision. And most business owners don't know how to do that.
Yep. And if a CPA is the one doing your books, they're probably going to stack all your labor together, whether it's a technician, whether it's a salesperson.
Exactly.
The only one they'll break out is the owner because they do report that separately on the taxes. But it's really important to us as small business owners that we know what it costs for the people that are out in the field, what it costs for the people that are in the office. If we have a maintenance person, they go to a different place. If we have a salesperson that's like drumming up their own leads, they go to a different place, because those are all different types of decisions. So again, the first one is production related decisions in general. And it varies industry to industry, but cost of goods sold, like that cost of production, should generally be below 50%. Like if you do $1,000 job and it costs you more than $500 to produce it, you're fucked. Like you're not going to be able to scale.
You don't charge enough.
Yeah. Either you don't charge enough or you're paying your employees hourly, but you're not charging your customer hourly. You get like a risk mismatch in how you price versus how you pay. And you can get screwed that way because now you have all the risk and you're just incentivizing employees to take
that one statement can help so many small business owners. I mean, it's wild. It was one of the biggest shifts for me was when I realized, like, where my cost of goods should be, where my labor should be. It's why I moved to performance pay, right? Risk aversion.
Yep.
It's a percentage. Like if you take 2 weeks longer than you should have taken on that project, yeah, it hurts our bottom dollar or our top dollar, but it really doesn't hurt the bottom dollar. It just kind of slows us down. It's really only hurting yourself. And so it's when you get to that point where you can use this and get practical with it. I mean, it's been a life changer for me, and just trying to understand the numbers of my business.
There's value in dollars in the sense that banks actually don't accept percentages. I don't know if you've ever noticed. I don't know if you've ever gone to a bank to try to deposit some percentages. They'll turn you away. They'll turn you right away, Trevor. They only take the dollars. But measuring your business in percentages helps you understand things in like a second. Like if you tell me, Dan, my rent is $3,000, is that right? I don't know. How much is your rent percentage? I can tell you immediately, right? Like percentage tells you the relationship that it has in your business. And so percentages are so useful in that sense to know if you're dialed in. So again, cost of goods sold is that production related decision. Should be under 50%. If you're like window cleaning and pressure washing, it should be below 45, even as low as like 40. If you're really crushing it. That's like your only true cost. That's your only true expense. Everything that you spend after that hits like your profit and loss is a how well you did operationally. Everything you do after that is an investment. Meaning when you spend money down the rest of your P&L, and there's 4 decisions left. So I'm not going to not cover those. We're going to get to the other 4 decisions. All 4 of them are different investments that have to make you more money, right? A cost is going to cost you money. An expense is going to cost you money. An investment has to make you money. You'll spend the money first, but it has to at least pay for itself in time, or you got to get rid of it. And so those 4 decisions, and this is the order that you spend the money in. Like, I had one guy that I had a good working relationship with over time. And we had done his books for a while. And then he did the thing where he's like, oh, my CPA is going to do it for me. I'm like, all right, man. And then he calls me. He's like, dude, we have no idea what's going on anymore. I was like, yeah, I know how this goes. Like, I've played this game before. And he's like, I'm going to fly you out to my shop so you know everything about our business. And I was like, Dave, I bet I can tell you more than you know about your business if you just give me your QuickBooks. I'll tell you shit you didn't even know was happening. The numbers tell the story. I don't need to see where you store your chemicals. That does me no good. Like, I'll tell you if you're inefficient with your chemical use from here. I know what it should be, and I'll be able to tell you where you're at, and I'll be able to tell you what the two.
Okay, what's the average? 0.5%, 0.05%, something like that
on chemicals.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
I'd say it's so dependent on, are you washing roofs or washing siding, right? Like, it can vary by type of business. Or are you doing like pavers and stuff like that? If you're getting into more roof washing, paver sealing, you use a little bit more. I'd say it's pushing, and obviously geographically it can be different too, just based on where this shit gets made. Probably pushing like 6%, sometimes as high as 8%. If you're just doing vinyl siding washing, should be like 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's a good point though. Like, you think 1 point's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. It's a big
1 point
number.
gets to be a lot when you're doing $1 million. Like,
exactly.
Then if you're off by a percentage, it's $10,000 and $10,000.
You hear people talk about scaling your business all the time. Like, that is what scaling your business is. And if you don't have somebody doing your numbers for you, where you can have a realistic look at it. I mean, I got to a point last year where it was like everything felt really good. The numbers were great. And then we looked at that exact number and I was like, all right, we could probably shave a point off if I buy bleach in bulk. And so I started researching it and looking into it. And we actually did. We were able to shave a point off. I mean, it sounds like it's not that much, but that's what the advantages are.
You want to hear something real cool about when you save a percentage point? This is just, I'm going to get so nerdy here, but this is the most powerful thing I probably have for all of you today. So listen up. If you save, let's say you're doing 500,000 and you save a percentage point. So that's $5,000 a year. $5,000 on cost savings is net income of $5,000. Like, it's just pure, when you save money like that, it's pure money in your pocket. The average business I deal with, like, our goal is 20%, but I'd say the average business I deal with is more like 10% net profit in reality. To get $5,000 of net profit, you need to sell a $50,000 fucking job. So by just saving that 1 percentage point, it's the exact same as selling a $50,000 job, right? Like, and
if you're profitable, right?
you would take your wife and your friggin' in-laws out to dinner if you sold a $50,000 job, right? So like understand the significance of like you can't grow a business by saving money, but when you save a lot of money, you can invest in the things that grow a business, and it's really powerful to like save those couple percentage points when you see them, because you get to keep all of that and you get to reinvest all of that.
I want to give you the opportunity to repeat that. Let's repeat it one more time because I think it's huge.
So you got a $500,000 business. You save 1% on chemicals. That's $5,000 back in your bank account. When you save money, you get all of it. When you sell more stuff, it has to run through your entire business model. You don't get all of it. But when you save money and you cut expenses, all of it goes to the bottom line. So again, our goal is to get like 20% net profit, but that's when you're doing well. And most people are on their journey to doing well. They're not yet doing well. They're trying to do well. So I'd say the average profitability is probably closer to like 10% from what I see for hundreds of clients. To get that same $5,000 on a 10% net income business, you need to sell a $50,000 job. That's the same as saving 1 percentage point. Like you need you're a $500,000 business. You need to sell one job, 10% growth to make the same amount of money as just cutting out 1%.
What does private equity do, or a new buyer, big buyer buys your company? What do they do day one?
Raise prices.
Day two.
Cut people and expenses.
Cut expenses, right? They get those numbers to jump rapidly. Yeah. I mean, if you watch The Profit, right? What did he do? That's what he did. He would call the vendors immediately and negotiate lower pricing for the vendors. Because like you said, saving money is much easier to stack the profit than it is to sell the $50,000 job to make that same amount of money.
Yep. And it's the same. Like the reason why Ryan Lee always says raise your prices is kind of the same logic. Is you can raise your price, but it doesn't take any more work to go generate that. Now, if you pay guys commission style pay or something, like your gross margin might stay the same and you're just paying dudes more too for a higher price job, but the logic is still the same. Selling more work doesn't do as much as raising prices or cutting costs. Raising prices and cutting costs puts more money back in your pocket as a business owner. And one of the mistakes that I see really small businesses make as they're getting started is they charge what they think it costs them to do it. And I say what they think because they don't really know. But they charge enough for them to like put some money in the bank account. They don't charge the market rate. And so they're not making enough money to pay for all the shit that they're going to need to pay for. They make enough money to pay for the stuff that they're paying for now, but they're not paying for a shop. They're not paying for insuring a bunch of 20-year-olds driving their rigs around. They're not paying for 8% marketing because they're just working with word of mouth. And then they start trying to scale and they go, oh shit, there's no money left. I can't scale a business. I haven't been charging enough.
And guess who doesn't care that there's no money in the bank? The IRS. They don't care. They still want theirs.
They still want it. They still want
it. And the books tell me that I owe them money.
Yeah. So these decisions that you need to make, these investments that you need to make, and again, they happen in this order. The first one is always like you do a job, you get paid, and then you're like, we should do more of those. And so you do marketing. Your next set of decisions, your first like investment decision is client acquisition, whether it's running some ads, hiring a Google ads person, hiring a social media person, hiring a website person, paying your website fees or whatever it is. Anything that's marketing or client acquisition related goes in that next bucket of decisions. Even stuff like Sotellus to get Google reviews or website hosting fees, like all of that marketing infrastructure is really important. It all works together. So that's part of your client acquisition decision. Mm-hmm. That leads to the next decision, which is this, because it tends to be that as you do better marketing, you get more, leads, which is like more phone calls and more emails, which means you need more help answering phone calls, answering emails, routing jobs, nerdy bookkeeping to help keep it all straight. And so like our next line of labor kind of lands here, which is administrative overhead. We need people that aren't out in the field, but are just making sure the business works. this is where I sound like a financial asshole. This is where I get cold. I get ice cold right here, which is those people, and I'm one of them, right? If you hire Best Damn Bookkeeping, this is where I sit, and I tell people this on our demos all the time, which is those people, including me, need to make you money or you need to fire them. I get that administrative people make your life easier and they take work off your shoulders. And so you tend to give them more grace than you give your techs. Like, we're all hard on our techs, but we can see when Jimmy, took too long at a job today and the customer called and said, Jimmy forgot this window or didn't do this or didn't do that or broke this. Like, we know immediately if our techs did a good job today. It's harder to tell if our admins did. And so we give them so much longer of a rope. And we just justify keeping them. But at the end of the day, they are an investment that needs to pay for themselves. I don't care if they're your customer service person. I don't care if they're your VA. I don't care if it's your bookkeeper. If you hire an accountant or a bookkeeper, they have to make you more money than they cost, or you have to fire them. If they're not making you more money than they cost, they're a shitty investment, right? If you hired a marketing company and they couldn't at least generate enough revenue to pay for themselves, you wouldn't keep them. You'd fire them. And no different with your admin team. Like, your admin team needs to pay for themselves and then some.
Been there.
Tends to be, the next decision coming here, tends to be when you have more administrative people to handle all those leads, you need more stuff. You just need more space, more infrastructure. So now you have fixed overhead decisions. You have these infrastructure decisions like rent, utilities, insurance, interest on loans and stuff like that, because you might need some more assets or whatever else you need. Your internet, your phone bills, whatever, you need stuff for the business to work. You need a CRM, right? You need software and stuff like that. All of those are like proactive investments that you tend to put in place and then grow into. But if you overextend on those things, they're a slippery slope because your customers don't give a shit about them. Unlike your marketing, your customers, they don't think they care about your marketing, but they do. It's what gets them to call. They care about your admin. They care about the interaction they have when they're trying to do business with you. They don't care what your shop looks like. They care that you have insurance. They don't know what any of it means. They don't care what kind of insurance it is. They don't care what CRM you use. They don't care what your interest rate is on your loans. And so fixed overhead is necessary to create the space to grow into. But if you overextend on it, you can kind of get effed because you can't go charge Mrs. Jones more and say, hey, I had to raise your price because I got this big rent bill. That'd be like when and this has all happened to us and we all can relate to this, when an employee comes to you and says, hey, I just bought this new car. I need a raise. And you're like, are you sure that's not your problem for being an idiot that bought a car you can't afford? Right? Like our customers should tell us the same thing if we went to them and said, hey, I need to raise your price because I have this facility I needed to rent. Right? It's like, sounds like your problem, not mine.
Yeah.
And so it's tricky. Our good friend Rob Anderson kind of ran into that. He got a shop that was in a great location, so he kind of justified it with market. And Rob has told the story, so I feel comfortable telling it too. And I was his bookkeeper at the time, and I was like, yeah, that's way, way, way too much in rent, right? And he's like, but the location and this, and we got all this space. And 2 or 3 years later, he's like, man, that just took so much money out of our pocket for so long, and there's just no way it could pay for itself. And again, these are investments; they have to pay for it for themselves. Rob found a sweet new shop. He actually bought it. It worked out. But he spent 3 years or 2 years paying way too much, and that money's just gone. It's out of your pocket. You ain't getting it back.
Yeah.
So those are all
that comes down to percentages again, right? Back to you. You can look at your numbers and go, it's higher than expected. It shouldn't be there. Something's got to go. So that's how you make decisions based off of your numbers.
That's right. One super common, that's probably the most common thing I tell business owners. I'd say 75% or more of our clients are too high on their fixed overhead. They're in the red. So green if you're below it for us, yellow if you're a couple points or just a little high. If you're above that, we color code it red. And we send our clients a report card basically every month. And that's very common that they're high on fixed overhead. And I tell them it's okay if you're a little high, right? You're putting things out. You're proactively putting this out there to grow into. whether like you could be high on marketing. That doesn't mean you suck at marketing. It just means you're being aggressive and you're trying to grow. You could be high on admin. That doesn't mean you suck. It just means you have these people that you put in place and you need them to execute and grow the business to pay for themselves. It gets trickier when you're high on fixed overhead, but I get it. Like you're renting a facility not to like squeeze into right now, but because you think you're going to grow into it. But you can't rent it and then not also invest in the marketing and the admin to grow. Because if you go rent that big facility and you sit there, then you're just a big old dummy. Then you're just throwing money down the drain. Like you have to grow. And so if you're over on fixed overhead, the conundrum you get in is you either need to cut expenses, which can be tough because it's like your rent is kind of locked in. Your insurance is kind of locked in. Your internet bill is kind of locked in. Like there's only so many things you can shop around. You can like cut some dues and subscriptions and stuff like that. But if you can't cut anymore, your only other option is you got to grow. And then to grow, you need to spend more money on marketing and probably more money on admin to grow your revenue to afford the fixed costs. So it's like you have to double down. And not everybody's in a position where it's like, I'm not making the kind of money I want. I need to go spend more money.
And we all do the same thing. All business owners, especially entrepreneurs in the home service world, we all do the same thing. Oh, but we're going to be at $1 million in like 2 years. Don't worry about it, right? Like we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So I'm going to go get the shop.
I have a plan. Yeah.
I'm going to go get the shop because I got to have a shop. It's necessary, right? But
yeah,
I've been there. I've done that. I'm going through it right now. Actually, my landlord's raising my rent by over 30% this year. So it's like now I'm stuck in the decision. Yeah, it's a huge, huge decision now. So now I'm stuck if he's watching this, trying to figure it out. Like, do I buy a piece of dirt and build my own building? Because it's that much, right?
Yeah.
Because my mortgage would literally, and I'm in real estate, right? My mortgage would literally be 30% cheaper if I built on top of my own dirt.
And you get some equity and pay rent yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, but when I started all this, I wasn't thinking in those terms. So it's, if you're watching this and you're a business owner and you're on your third, fourth, fifth year and you're just like, man, I don't understand. The numbers just don't make sense. Why are we not making money? This is why you're not looking at your report card on a monthly basis and you're not figuring out, are you living and operating within your targeted means? Right. So that it's really is more simple than we play it out to be. But people like me, we're just not built for that. I can't, if I had to do what you do for my business, I would be miserable. I need people like you.
Check this out. I just you can put it on the screen here. I'm doing a little screen share. So if you're watching, you can see this report card that we use. And I joke, but like, even if you didn't know what the hell you were looking at, and I didn't say any of the words I just said, you can kind of look at this and be like, oh, I get it. Like we measure a few different time horizons. Like I said, less is more. There's 5 different decisions you make. The one I didn't talk about is the bottom one on here, variable overhead, which is more of the frugality type of stuff. It's things where it's opportunistic or some shit happens and you got to solve it with money. And so it's like a frugality situation. It's repairs and maintenance. Are you going to fix it with duct tape? Are you going to wrench on it? Are you going to take it in? It's employee engagement. You had a good month. Are you taking everybody on a vacation? Are you like taking them out to dinner, or are you getting some pizzas in the shop? Right. It's recruiting. Are you posting free on social media and hoping somebody in your network knows somebody that wants to come work for you? Or are you boosting a bunch of Indeed ads? And so it's all these like opportunistic things, meals, travel, entertainment, conventions. They're all still investments that you need to make. Right. They're just more like, and it tends to go up as your business gets bigger. So it kind of like rides the same percentage as you get up, whereas fixed is very like choppy. Variable just keeps chopping higher. But it's all still, they're just more like frugality type of things. If money gets tight, variable stuff is like, you can stop spending money on that tomorrow. If money gets tight, you can shut it down to 0. Whereas fixed overhead, like you're signed up for all that shit.
Yeah.
Whether you do $10,000 or $100,000 or $1 million in revenue next month, those bills stay the same.
Yep.
And so I think you can kind of see here and like just how we color code it.
Simple.
The point of it isn't to say, hey, looks like your fixed overhead is high, you suck. It's to say, hey, looking at your P&L, don't worry about your COGS. So many times when stuff goes wrong in our business, we always try to solve it out in the field. with a new pressure washer that's more efficient, or a new this or whatever. And it's like, no, you're just solving a problem that doesn't exist. The problem is down here. It's this investment isn't paying off. You're too high. And so if anything, this simple version of a dashboard report card helps you focus on the right spot. Obviously, you can go look at the details. Like, we have a bunch of tabs on our report so people can go in and look at the details. And for our clients, we record a video every month. So if I see somebody that has really high fixed overhead, I kind of do the whole walkthrough, the faster version of what we just did. And then I'll open up like the detail and say, like, it's here. You can see where the money's going. And here's some thoughts. We had one guy, and I posted this online a couple months ago. We had one guy whose fixed cost was really high. And I always do the first kind of video review for our clients. And so I said, like, hey, fixed overhead is high. And man, like, your insurance is a % of your revenue. You're paying a ton in insurance, which, like, maybe you're just stuck. Like, maybe it's regional. Maybe there's just no other options for you. Maybe one of your dudes got in a car accident and killed somebody. I don't know. But your insurance is really high. Like, a week later, he came back. He's like, son of a bitch, you guys saved me 30 grand.
Yep.
And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I went and like talked to a bunch of brokers and got a bunch of quotes. I was paying 45 and now I'm down to 15. And I was like, well, like, that was more than I thought.
Very similar thing happened to me. It wasn't quite that high, but it was significant. We saved $10,000 a year just by switching our auto policy. What? Yeah, you heard me.
Wild.
Yep. And so we get comfortable, right? And as entrepreneurs, we're like, all right, I just need somebody else to handle this part of my life. Surely that insurance agent is trustworthy, and I'll just use you. I know you. You know my dad. Whatever the relationship is, and they get you a price, and you sign up, and you don't think about it. Don't do that.
Yep.
Don't do that. Shop it once a year.
I think, did I tell you about the business coach that I work with who like wasn't going to switch their bookkeeping to us? And then after I showed him how we price. So I make and again, this is probably just me. I'm just so weird. Like, I want to make money for myself. And like, I would rather make less money, but have it be me, like my thing. I'm not money motivated. I'm super motivated to help other people make money for whatever reason. Can't explain it. But so I always try to price as fair as possible. I don't charge people more when they have bigger businesses. I do charge them more if they give us more work to do, because like my employees don't want to do more work and not get paid for it. So the same reason that a lot of pressure washing companies use square footage, right? You're just trying to charge for how much work there is to do. Maid services a lot of times use number of rooms or square footage, and maybe they'll add a little variable for how many pets or kids you got, because that just creates more stuff to clean. But rarely, and I say rarely because there's probably a couple people out there gouging this thing, which if you are, cool, go do your thing. But you're not like looking up your client's net worth and being like, oh man, I know how much money these guys have. I'm going to charge them double. Like, no, they're square. The thing we need to do for them takes us this long, and we know what a fair market rate is for that. And so that's what we charge. And so I'm just like, I'm always trying to find those like variables from a pricing standpoint that make the thing fair and reasonable for everybody. And I think if you end up getting gouged by somebody that's like, oh yeah, I know you're doing business with me because I know your dad and you know my dad, but I know you're not shopping this thing around because of that. And I'm just going to give you a price and you're going to say, yeah. And you have no idea that I'm charging this other guy a third of what I'm charging you. Like, if that happens to you, it shows up here. It always shows up here, right? Like the reason why we color code this is, exactly where to go look. Exactly. Like there's no hiding it. You might not like the decisions that you're left with, right? You might not like what the story tells you, but the numbers are just here to tell you a story, tell you the story of your business. And then you're still the business owner. You still ultimately need to make the decisions of what am I going to do to make the story the way I want it to be told and not the way that it is. But you can't hide from it.
I think this may be one of the most important podcasts that I do, honestly. If people are watching this and they want to watch one podcast that Trevor Steel did, this is the one. If you're a small business owner that hasn't dialed this in yet, I think this is the one. So we got your 5 decisions, right? We got 6 minutes left. I want to make sure we get it. We got production related, cost of goods, client acquisition, admin, overhead. What's the fourth one?
So I break overhead into three: administrative overhead, because they are
Okay.
overhead. There's fixed overhead for all those like proactive recurring like bills. And then there's variable overhead is the last one. Still overhead, but that's the frugality stuff like repairs and maintenance, meals and entertainment, employee engagement, trade shows, education type of stuff where if you wanted to, you could spend zero on it. Like you could shut it all down and fix everything yourself.
Right.
But you're opportunistically going to use money to like pursue those types of investments too. And so the reason I like breaking it down into those 5 types of decisions is rarely throughout your business career and through scaling a business, rarely is the same thing going to be bogging you down. Like early on, COGS is going to be the thing you got to solve. It just is. You're going to learn how to wash the thing faster, how to pay employees efficiently, whatever. You're going to solve it. And then you're just going to monitor it and make sure it's working. But then like your marketing is going to get trickier because you got to like start spending more and you don't know, I've just been doing these yard signs and flyers and now I got to start running digital ads and like now you start blowing some money there and then eventually trying to build an admin team, right? Like it just tends to be as you progress, different things will get you at different times. And if you're not measuring stuff the right way and you're just and your CPA is just sending you a PDF report from your QuickBooks with 50 line items and you're like, okay, all you do is look at the top line and the bottom line. That's all I would do if somebody sent me a P&L like that. I'd be like, what the fuck does this mean? Right. But when you can clearly see where the things are working in your business and where they're not, again, it's like the thing we showed, you wouldn't even know how to read a P&L and you could know what it was telling you. You'd be like, oh, it's here. I can tell by the way this color isn't as friendly. And like it says I should be at 6% and I'm twice as much. There's probably a problem here I should go look into. And so it's, again, you might not like what it tells you, but it's just telling you where your attention is needed on the business. Then you
Yeah,
get to
it really what it does is it starts to gamify the process. Like you can look at it if you say I'm going to sit down at my computer today is about cutting costs and getting more efficient and more profitable. You could sit down and look at that gamified spreadsheet and say, okay, my admin's too high. Then you break down the details and you look at your admin, you say, all right, I'm spending this for this VA. I've got my office admin spending here. And you go, okay, which one of them's not making me money? Which one is? And you can break it down even further. And then you get down to the end and you're like, okay, I think we just shaved 2 points off and we did it in a day, right? It's like those little things you can do, life-changing. Like I can give you a good example. I was paying for a VoIP service,
VoIP.
voice over internet protocol service. And it's something I signed up for, I don't know, 3 years ago and just forgot about it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and I was paying like $160 a month because one of my VAs required it. And I don't remember. And then I was like, I had to sign up for Nord something. I don't, it's like, I didn't know. I ended up paying $225 a month for several years because I just wasn't paying attention to my admin costs. And then one day
that $2,500 is pretty much the same as like a $20,000 or $25,000 job.
Exactly.
The minute you canceled it, you just sold the $20,000 job, and you didn't even have to actually do any work. It's glorious.
Anyway, I love it, man. It's not natural for me. It's not natural for most business owners. That's why we need nerds like you. But you are an anomaly, dude. You're
weirdos,
like the
man. Just weirdos, dude.
Gun toting, hunting and fishing redneck.
I'm drinking a whiskey and Coke right now. We're just having fun here. I do our tagline for Best Damn Bookkeeping. Obviously, if you're watching, we have a beer in the logo. Like I'm from Wisconsin, so it's fine.
But it's like water.
But like bookkeeping doesn't have to suck. It should be really fun. Like you said, it's a game. We're all just playing a math game. And I do think it's funny because so many small business owners, it's kind of in our DNA to be like, I don't like math. I don't do math. I run this pressure washer or whatever it is that I do. But the minute you own a business, like whether you like it or not, you just signed up for a math game because it's just all a math game. I don't like whether it's how you're buying your chemicals or how you're paying your employees or even as fluffy stuff as like employee engagement. It has to generate a return. Like we want the best employees in the world and we want them to be happy. And if they're not, we're doing something wrong for their sakes and for ours, right? Everything is an investment. If you want to have the best business in the world, you better have the best employees in the world. You're only as good as your worst employee. Somebody's going to get that person someday, every day. You're only as good as your worst employee. And so it's like
Right.
everything we do in our business is just an investment to try to deliver the best service possible. Make sure you charge a fair amount, but it's all a math game.
I would be
It's easy.
doing all of our listeners an injustice if I didn't ask this question. Walk us through the process. I decide I want to work with Best Damn Bookkeeping. How does it work? How do I get in touch with you? And what would we expect?
I saw Jai dropped the bestdamnbookkeeping.com website out there. So you can go to bestdamnbookkeeping.com. There's a link to book time on my calendar in there. We'll do an hour-long demo. And you're probably like, why the hell would we need an hour? But the most important thing is like really clear expectations. I don't let anybody sign up for this unless they are like, they know exactly what we do and how we do it. Because if you don't give a shit about it, then I don't give a shit about it either. And we ain't going to do your books type of thing. Like I want to help people that want to be helped. Right. So we do a demo, kind of spend the first half of that obsessing about your business, and sometimes longer than 30 minutes, like coaching, right? Like I have a weird seat. I get to watch hundreds of business owners, some doing multi millions, and I get to see what works, right? I have the coolest freaking vantage point. And so if you tell me that your marketing's not working, we're going to spend some time talking about that. If you tell me your recruiting's not working, we're going to spend a hell of a lot of time talking about that. Like, I can tell you about our bookkeeping service, but what's way more important is that I understand what you're going through so I can make sure that our service fills that need and helps give you that data. So then I'll kind of finish that demo with like, here's how we do our thing. Here's how the pricing works, all that. When you sign up, there's 3 phases to bookkeeping. This is kind of like when you buy stuff from the TV at night and you got to call that weird number and there's 3 easy payments. That's bookkeeping, except there's 2 shitty phases and then 1 awesome phase. And we always got to do the 2 shitty phases first to get to the awesome phase. Shitty phase number 1 is like, we got to organize everything. We got to get it set up. We need different accesses to bank accounts and credit cards and loans and CRMs and like there's this password thingy stuff we got to do. And that sucks. There's organizing the chart of accounts, because if you've had somebody doing your bookkeeping, they probably have it super disorganized. So we got to move stuff around and merge things and whatever. So that's just like a fixed rate. We have to do that for everybody, whether it's a brand new QuickBooks account or they've been messing it up for 20 years. That's shitty. Then we get to the super shitty part. This is where the boys become men. We got to clean it up. And sometimes like I'll look through it before I even let somebody sign up, and I'll send them like, here's the shit list. Hopefully it's like 5 bullet points, but sometimes it's like 35 of here's all the things. Like if I think of me as like Neo in the Matrix, I can look at those green numbers coming down and I can be like, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. And so I do that to your books. It's not fun. You ain't going to like what I send you back, because I'm not going to tell you what I don't spend the hours and hours and hours to go fix it. It's kind of like a to-do list for our account manager when they get in there of like, we got to look into this. We got to understand that. We got to separate these. We got to fix this. So I go through pretty much the entire balance sheet to say, here's all the stuff that I can tell is really jacked up. And that turns into either I don't say how long it's going to take to fix it, because we don't always know what we don't know. We've been bombarded with twice as much as we knew about, but assuming we can see everything, it's usually my scoring scale is like, it's not too bad to holy shit. There's some meat on this bone we should probably just burn this down and start a new one. Like it's usually one of those 3 options. Once we get it cleaned up, caught up, reconciled, which is just like we bill that hourly, because the faster, truly like the better our client communicates with us, the better job we get to do. We can go faster. We can get stuff done more efficiently. The faster we can get done, the sooner we move to like monthly pricing. And like I said, we're like a maid service business for your QuickBooks. We clean it every single week. We're in there every single week. We touch base with every client every single week. And everything is caught up, whatever day of the week we got you on. Or if there's a day of the week that you want to be on, we can clean them up that day. And so then it just switches to monthly pricing, and it's monthly pricing forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. We change the price once a year. And if you're in a recurring service business, if you're in maid service, if you're in lawn care, I didn't do this when we had maid services, and I highly recommend that you do, which is when somebody signs up, tell them when you change your prices. if you're window cleaning or pressure washing, you can change your prices tomorrow. Like the person that calls you tomorrow doesn't know what you charged yesterday. If you're in a maid service business or a lawn care business and you have this recurring subscription, your clients need to know that every spring you change your prices. Doesn't mean you have to, but they need to know, they need to expect a price increase every spring, right?
Clutch.
It sucks changing prices in a recurring service business. So I tell all of our clients every spring, it's database pricing anyway. So every spring we got to look back at your data from the last year and adjust to like true up to where you're at. But it's also an opportunity. Like if our costs go up and the cost of bookkeeping in the world goes up, we have to charge what the market charges, right? So we revise pricing every spring. Usually we wait until like you guys all have cash back in your bank account because we know February and March really suck. So we don't change our prices till April or May, just so that you're back in the groove. If your price does go up, it's not like we raise your price in January and give you the middle finger. But that's how we do it. And then we just keep crushing it.
Love it, man.
My wife is calling me because I got to go get the kids. So we should probably, wrap her up here. I think that's it.
Marty's Give me my theme music.
Marty's doing the curtain call. She's like pulling me off the stage with the hook,
All right, brother. Dan Plata, one and only. Yeah. Love you, brother. Appreciate you.
Hell yeah, man. Back at you.
See ya.
Peace.